Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, my friends. Thank you. Thank you. Muchas gracias. First of all, congratulations, dear Stefan, to you, and I would say also to all of us, because we're lucky to have you again as our president for this new mandate. I believe we could not have chosen a better leader for your courage, for your ability to forge consensus and your gift to bring people together, but above all, for your deep, lifelong commitment to our ideals. So thank you very much, Stefan, for your friendship and your leadership. That would be the best. So on behalf, of course, of the Spanish Socialists, thank you for stepping forward, dear Stefan. And I would also like to say a few words about our host, Frans Timmermans. Frans is a reference in Europe, mainly for progressives, a true champion of climate justice. Now he's once again leading the way, building a broad progressive movement here in his beautiful country. I am proud to call him my friend. So Frans, thank you very much for hosting this Congress and for your inspiration and example. I hope that soon I will also be able to call you my colleague at the European Council. That would be the best news. The best news, because now is the time when we need to be stronger in Brussels, with voices like those of two outstanding Spanish women whom I would also like to recognize, Teresa Ribera and Irache García. Well, my friends, we all know quite well the context we face. The far right is advancing across Europe and worldwide, spreading messages filled with hate and lies. And what is the answer by the conventional right? What is the answer? In my view, surrender. Surrender by copy and paste. They copy their ideas and proposals and they paste their methods. And the reason is why they do that. In my opinion, they do it because they think it is their only chance to survive politically. They could not be more naive. Stefan, I once heard you quoting a sentence from Kennedy that perfectly describes that strategy. Those who seek power by riding the back of the tiger end up inside it. That is exactly what is happening with the conventional right. And it is not only a doomed strategy, it is a nonsense that endangers consensus built over decades and the very essence of the European project. So how many times must they repeat the same mistakes that led Europe to disaster? Will they ever learn the lessons of history? Because that is exactly what is happening across Europe. And my country, Spain, is not an exception. There, the conventional right has become just another satellite of the far right. They are willing to restrict the right to abortion, to deny the climate emergency, to repeal laws on democratic memory, and to roll back progress on gender-based violence. When they attack our freedom and conquest, they are undermining the very basis of democracy. So I want we want to be clear. We will not take a single step back. You see, the conventional right bought the full far-right package. And they did it because they are scared. Scared of being swallowed by the tiger they think they can ride. Scared of losing votes. Scared of becoming, even them, victims themselves of the far-right's hatred and lies. Scared. And to be frank with you, it's also important to keep in mind that there are many of our people also scared of being targeted, scared of being harassed by their army of social media trolls, scared of being framed with inventions and further lies. But let me tell you something. We are not scared. On the contrary, this terrible challenge that we face gives us more strength and determination to fight the enemies of democracy, freedom, and social justice. That is why today we must stand up and mobilize. And therefore, dear Stefan, dear Giacomo, I'm very happy that this Congress has just approved the launch of the Global Progressive Mobilization, an initiative that will provide the basis for all progressive forces around the world to coordinate, to unite ourselves, because our unity will be our strength. So, dear comrades, today I am not only asking you to stand firm in the name of the ideals and values we socialists treasure. I know you do. I'm asking you to stand in the name of all those threatened. Let us mobilize in defense of their voices. Let us take the first step. Let us face the challenge in their name. Only then can we be credible, when we call for progressive action everywhere. And to be credible, my friends, we must to be consistent. We must to be coherent. There cannot be double standards. All lives have the same value in Ukraine, in Gaza, or anywhere else in the world. Accepting double standards weakens Europe's moral authority and undermines the multilateral system itself. Accepting double standards is not what we socialists do. So to be credible, we must also remain loyal to our principles. We cannot accept the far right's frameworks. We cannot renounce our convictions for the sake of political convenience. We cannot sacrifice our long-term vision for a short-term gain. And that is what true leadership means. I know it is not easy. I know we face many pressures, but we must remain strong and determined, because there is also reason for hope. Let me give you a very simple one example. When we govern, we prove that our policies work. We show that social democratic policies deliver. My country, Spain, is proving it. In 2025, according to the IMF, our growth rate will more than double the European Union average. And at the same time, we are reducing inequality to its lowest level in record history. And nearly 60% of our energy mix already comes from renewable sources. We are dismantling one by one the old dogmas imposed by the right during and after the financial crisis of the past decade. They say we couldn't grow while improving job and wage dignity. Wrong. They said we couldn't cut emissions without sacrificing economic growth. They were wrong. They said we couldn't grow, share, and protect the planet at the same time. Wrong. Of course we can. The international media have called it the Spanish model. Of course I take pride in it, believe me. But I prefer to call it for what it really is, the social democracy model. A model that creates wealth and distributes it. A model that thinks about the planet and future generations. A model that works and that we will extend soon to the rest of Europe. I'm sure France, that it will start here in the Netherlands and beyond Europe. So, dear comrades, our model works, and yet we still face huge challenges ahead, of course, in my country and across Europe. Let me briefly mention four that worry me in particular. First, we must tackle the housing crisis that is hitting our young people hardest. It is not acceptable that 80 million Europeans spend more than 40% of their income on rent or a mortgage. Living with dignity cannot be a privilege. It must be a right. Second, we must continue advancing in gender equality, not one step back, comrades. We must defend every advance with bravery and determination in sexual and reproductive freedom, in equal pay, in parliamentary representation, and in corporate boards. We owe it to the women who fought for it and those who will come. Third, we must strengthen our commitment to a just green transition, not only out of moral conviction, though that matters, of course, but because there is future and prosperity in the green economy. So this is not climate dogmatism, it is responsibility and also a huge opportunity for our societies and for the whole Europe. And last but not least, we must uphold and expand Europe's social pillar, because the rights that our workers and middle classes took decades to achieve are now under threat. Decent jobs, public health and education, clean air, reduced inequalities. It is up to us to ensure that the European Union delivers better lives to our citizens, including common minimum wage throughout the European Union. So, dear friends, a new world order is emerging, a world in which a zero-sum mentality prevails, and therefore we must fight against that vision, because it only brings more conflict, more inequality, and more injustice. We must defend our soul, a social Europe, and we must make it compatible with our aspiration to grow through talent and innovation. We already know the way. I think that this idea of the open strategic autonomy is the only path to prevent us from becoming anyone's vassals. We don't choose our friends, we don't choose our circumstances or challenges, but we can choose how we face them. And our choice should be clear. We choose to stand up, not to hide. We choose an open and prosperous Europe, not a closed and impoverished one. We choose to move forward with bravery, not to give up to fear. We choose a bright future over the phantoms of the dark past. We choose and we do. Let's go for it. And now I have the honor and the pleasure to give the floor to Frans Timmermans. Thank you very much, my friends.
I guess you guys are just as inspired as I am by Pedro's wonderful
Y
speech.
el territorio para las olas de calor severas, creando refugios climáticos en grandes ciudades y estableciendo nuevos estándares laborales para proteger a los trabajadores del estrés térmico. 7. Reconocer y potenciar el papel esencial del mundo rural con incentivos fiscales y fomento del empleo verde. 8. Fomentar la ganadería extensiva, agricultura regenerativa, riego eficiente, pastoreo dirigido. 9. Promover una cultura cívica de prevención con, por ejemplo, formación en centros educativos no universitarios. 10. Asegurar el